I'm sure many of our listeners can relate to the concept of familial pressure. And as many immigrant or first-generation young adults may know, the career path for us is often limited to that of a doctor, lawyer, or engineer. I chose the path of a lawyer when I was younger. However, as I've evolved as a person, so have my interests. And I'm not alone in this. Many of us have seen leaps in technology that have piqued interests in previously unexplored fields. So with that in mind, it should be of no surprise that it is one of the fastest growing industries in the world, with revenue within the industry projected to reach $351 billion. It also makes it an inviting field for groups that have been underrepresented in this industry until now. The question is, what does it look like to make the pivot? My name is Ade, and you're listening to Living Corporate. So today we're talking about non-conventional entries into tech. As many of you may know, this would resonate with me. I've shared at least 2 to 3 times this season, but for those of you who are new, I'm actively making the career pivot into software engineering, which was not my focus in college. The journey so far has included some extremely long hours, some late nights, a ton of mistakes, a couple of wins, a couple of little wins, and many, many failures.
Yeah, one, we could have done a better job promoting your journey through Living Corporate's Instagram, because your IG stories are great. Like, I'll see you posting pictures of your laptop screen with a bunch of code on it, you being in all these all-day workshops, books you're digging in to help build your technical chops. It's been inspiring to see.
Thanks. Thank you. Part of what I am interested in is making tech more accessible. It's all around us, and engaging in tech means often more than just being a coder. Being a coder is awesome, but there's so much more to tech than that.
Right. I mean, to your point, because there's technology in everything that we do, there's a myriad of ways to work in tech. As an example, I'm a change management consultant in technology. I don't know how to code a thing yet, but I'm still actively engaged in the industry because I bring other skills to the table to help implementations and things of that nature to be more successful.
Right. And along that train of thought, there is space for all of us at the table, word to Solange. But it comes down to exposure and engagement. For me, I had 2 primary barriers. One, I didn't know what tech meant. It seemed like this vague, really nebulous space. And that was scary. I like when words mean things, and I like when I understand what those words mean. And the second big barrier for me was that I did not know how to get there. I had no roadmap. I had graduated from college, and there was no counselor or advisor who was like, take these classes and you'll get there, and these are the steps. I had to figure it out for myself. But in figuring out for myself, I came to understand that the tech space is made up of people, some really amazing people, and therefore completely accessible. Just like you are a person, they are people. And so this is a space that you can absolutely find your way in.
Right. And as you alluded to in the intro, professionals of color are well served to seek entry into industries that are growing and positioned to be on or around the top. But it would be great if we could speak to someone more about this topic, right? Someone who maybe they're like a first generation American who changed their careers, made a career pivot after college and got into tech. But not only that, they leveraged their passion and network to teach other ethnic minorities skills to get them into the tech space as well.
Wait, you mean like our guest, TJ Oyeni? What?
Sal, man. Come on, drop him. You know it. Just put him right in there. Let's go.
All right. So next up, we're going to get into our interview with our guest, TJ. Hope y'all enjoy.
And we're back. TJ, welcome to the show, man. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Zach. Appreciate you.
Hey, no problem, man. So look, for those of us who don't know you, would you mind telling us a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, so my name is Tolu Oyeniyi, and most people know me as TJ, which I completely made up while watching Smart Guy one day. I was born in Nigeria, Osun State, and I grew up in Dallas, Texas. I did my undergrad at UT Austin and grad school at Arizona State, and I am currently in the second year of my career switch as a software engineer.
Man, that's amazing. So look, today we're talking about non-conventional entries into tech. Before you got into technology or the tech space explicitly, what were you doing and what spurred your interest in the tech space?
What was I doing? So I was working as a business analyst at a small health tech company in Austin at the time. And I was also a really big volunteer in Austin. Like when I moved back to Austin from Dallas for work, I told myself like anything Black, like just anything dealing with underrepresented groups, I wanted to volunteer time to just help and, just try to like give back any way possible. And I ended up like volunteering for a host of different events till I stumbled upon this one event called Div Hackathon at Houston Tillerson University, which is an HBCU and actually the first higher education institute in Austin during South by. And the purpose of the Div Hackathon was to basically introduce Black and Brown students to tech. And I volunteered as a mentor to basically help students flesh out their ideas and ultimately try to build like a working product at the end of those 2 days for the hackathon. And what like really triggered the idea of like learning to code or just teaching people how to code was uh, when I parked in front of this like brand new house across from like HT in East Austin, which used to be like a old Black neighborhood in Austin.
Yeah.
And this house was a reminder that this area was being gentrified largely by a lot of people that are coming into Austin because of tech. And just kind of like thinking, man, like all these Black and brown kids and just like families in these areas are being priced out of here because they don't really have access into this industry and don't really know like the basics, to even be able to try to like, have a chance to like try in this industry. And that kind of frustrated me a bit. And I thought one day, you know what, it would be real impactful if somebody was teaching these kids to code. And I just like jokingly mentioned to a friend to my friend at the event, like, bro, I think I'm going to mess around and learn how to code so I can teach these kids to code.
Wow.
The guy I was talking to was a software engineer for IBM. He was like, oh, really? Can you code? I was like, I don't know anything about coding, bro. I work as a business analyst. I just like design software, but I don't actually build it. But yeah, I had the crazy idea of learning to code so that I can teach Black and brown kids to code. And I didn't really learn to like make a career switch. I just wanted to basically help other people like break into the industry. And I did that for about a year until I basically got this useless promotion at work.
Why was it useless?
It was useless, man. I was working as a business analyst, making for a health tech company, making 37,500 in Austin.
Wow,
And
that's really low.
Man, you said wow, and you brought back all the pain from those days. Oh God, but yeah. And I had gotten a promotion to senior business analyst, right? Big time. I think in big time, everything got a promotion. My title got a promotion, my responsibilities, everything but my salary.
Oh, no.
I was like,
but that's really what happens, though.
Yeah, I'm like, hold on, bro. Hold on, bro, man, what's going on? Because my, coworkers got a raise. Why in the world did I not get one? So I started having this like back and forth with my manager, like, hey man, I've been doing all this, my output is looking really good, et cetera, et cetera. Like I've been here for over a year, what's up? And I just got promoted. So he eventually went to bat for me with the CEO and they got me a promotion. Like I remember that day well. He came into the office and we had a meeting. And he was so happy to like announce to me that I had gotten a raise. I was like, okay, what's that money looking like, bro? He's like, yeah, so TJ, we're gonna take you from 37,500 to 39,998.
Oh no.
I was like, hey, bro, you guys really couldn't have added a couple dollars more, to at least make it 40K, bro. Really? I was like, okay, wow, thank you, sir, appreciate it. I mean, I went back to my desk with this look like I'm leaving. I was like mid 20s, just thinking, man, I'm not gonna be fighting for 40K. Like I'm not trying to build my life and career off of that because the question then was how long till I reach like 60K.
Right. No, it's a real question. Right.
Yeah, I was like, bro, I got
God forbid 6 figures, right? Like how
yeah,
long?
exactly.
Right.
I'm like,
Yeah.
"Dude, I'm gonna be like 40 to 50 years old before I see any kind of money where I can just kind of be at peace basically, right? Because I had like a lot of loans coming from grad school because I also did grad school out of state. But yeah, so I was very like frustrated by that. And by this time, I have been learning to code for about a year and like, teaching it as well. But at that time, I basically just knew the basics of building like web pages and websites, just simple HTML, CSS, JavaScript, Bootstrap, that type of stuff.
Right.
But I went home, I was just like, you know what, man? I'm not gonna be here fighting to try to make 40 something K. Like my financial goals were way bigger than that. And I was like, I have to make a change. And all my software engineer friends are banking. And, so far this stuff seems pretty straightforward. So I basically went to this event or something at IBM, I think, and I saw this printout of a job posting for a software engineer role at IBM, and it had all these skills and requirements, just basically all this stuff on there. And I basically used that posting to update the curriculum that I was using to teach.
Oh wow. Yeah.
This happened man, I think this happened around June or July 2016. And I basically took that job posting and I put it like right next to my desk in my room. And I put a date on there, like December 2016 was how long I gave myself. I was like, by December 2016 latest, I should be working as a software engineer, period.
Let's go. Wow. Yeah, that's amazing.
So yeah, basically that is what kind of spurred me making that career change. And it's just crazy how it all started, how I actually only started learning to code so I can teach other people so they could break into the industry and make more money when I was over here broke. Maybe I should make the switch. So.
Right. What I'll say this. It's funny. I truly believe anytime you attach your purpose with people, you're going to see rewards on the other side, right?
Oh yeah.
Right.
Oh
So,
yeah.
so your whole angle, your whole mission was, how can I serve someone else? And then as you were building to serve others, the fates came together to make sure that you were taken care of. So that's really exciting. And I think something else that I hope our listeners are picking up on is that you were tenacious about it, right? So the information was out there. You did your own research. You put yourself out there. You were willing to be uncomfortable, and you drove to get there. Let me ask you something about this program that you started to teach other folks, specifically youth, how to code. What is the program, and why do you believe coding is so important? Why do you do it today? Like, why do you continue to do it today?
Well, so the program was called Roots Technology, and I was basically teaching classes on Saturdays at the time, in like a lower income part of Austin. Yeah, and for me, at the time I thought it was like a really good chance to provide an opportunity for kids that were already interested in tech somehow to just learn more of the hard skills to try to like give them the chance to try to break into the industry or to ultimately start like their own stuff on the side in terms of like, building websites for people or just building their own app ideas at the time actually. So yeah, I mean that, man, teaching is hard, bro. Teaching is very hard. I always knew that our teachers were undervalued, underpaid, and underappreciated, but that like knowledge took a different form when I actually like experienced being in the shoes of a teacher for just like a couple hours. once a week, because there were some students in my class that didn't know where they were going to eat unless they came to my class because Subway like sponsored lunches. So it's like there were so many like hurdles outside of the actual class that
Yeah.
basically made it hard for students to retain information and
Mm.
to basically achieve the goal that they set out to achieve. So yeah, that was tough, and I ultimately had to like pull back on the program. So now I have the curriculum online, and it is open to any and everybody to use, and I just make myself available as a mentor to help people to get unstuck as they are working through the curriculum. Because everything is online and self-paced. So
So let's make sure that we'll make sure to put those resources in the show notes, because I think that's amazing. I think certain people, for me as an example, right? Like I'm a good Googler. Like I don't have an issue looking something up and figuring it out, or reaching out and talking to people. But that's not everyone's strong suit. Having a place where all of that information is consolidated and available, I think is a big deal. And there's plenty of people out there that really see tech as like this big, just amorphous thing that you can't really wrap your arms around, or that it's only for super, super quantitative math geniuses and things of that nature. So let me ask you this.
yeah. Hmm.
If you could give people, especially minorities who don't have a tech background but want to get into the space, 3 tips, what would they be?
One, decide what you want to do. And if you don't already know what you want to do in this industry, or you just don't know anything about tech, just start looking for local tech meetups in your area and start attending, and just ask questions. Like, you will always find people that are willing to just like answer questions and at least help you and point you in the right direction. And two, like find people that want once you figure out what you want to do, find people in this industry that are where you want to be and approach them to basically help you come up with a plan to get there. And then three, you have to really like sacrifice and grind. Like set a timeline and let other people know to basically help to keep you accountable to your goals and get to work. Like this like took me over a year and a half of just like teaching myself and just grinding. And my last like 5 months, I actually like once I decided that I wanted to make a switch into being an engineer, I think I spent about like 7 months of just like really sacrificing and grinding, where no more happy hours, no more brunch, dollar mimosas. And God knows I love like dollar mimosas. Like
Dollar mimosas, yeah.
I basically had to give like so much up. Like I was working full time and coming home, and basically from 6 p.m. to like 1 or 2 a.m., I was just studying 7 days a week, just grinding and sacrificing. The only people that saw me on a regular basis were my coworkers and my sister, because she lives with me. But that was it.
Yeah.
I basically went into a hole to try to put in the work to achieve my goals, and I basically showed up with a brand new software engineering job a few months later.
Well, see, no, that's just so inspirational, right? Because again, I think we talk a lot about things that we say that we want to do, but the reality is it takes work. It takes sacrifice. Anything that you want to really build that's going to be sustainable, not a fad or not something passing in any way, it takes time and it takes actual work. And it's funny because, you didn't pull those hours out of nowhere. You had to give up some comfort so that you could eventually get where you wanted to go. So that's just amazing. I'm really encouraged by this story. This has been a great conversation. Before we wrap up, TJ, do you have any shout outs?
Man, I have a lot of shout outs.
Go ahead, get it going.
When it took a village of people. So yeah, the first shout outs would be to Dara OK and Sammy Muddy. They were my engineering friends at the time that basically helped point me in the right direction when I was coming up with this self-paced curriculum to, teach people. And then after that, shout out to Yusuf Jiba and the African American Youth Harvest Foundation, which is where the classes for Roots Technology were at. And Yusuf was another engineer at the time that basically started learning to code back then, like I did, and wanted to make the switch over. And he would actually volunteer with me to help teach the class as well. And yeah, again, he achieved it as well. He has been working as a software engineer for the past 2 years. And also shout out to Ihani Ekichukwu for just being like a really big support, just a really good friend and mentor in this like tech journey. Like is an engineer. He's worked at IBM on a Watson project, DO doing like DevOps stuff, and now he's over at GitHub. And he always does a very good job of just, trying to help lift as he's climbing. And I was, one of those people that he like really helped along the way in my own like journey. And also a big shout out to my fiance Queen and my sister Fumi, who gave me a place to live while I didn't have my own place for a few months. And just a really big shout out to all of my family and friends that were there to support me and to like push me on throughout this whole journey.
Man, that's beautiful, man. And again, we thank you for your time. We love your story. We definitely consider you a friend of the show. We hope to have you back, man.
Awesome, sir. Thank you so much, Zach.
All right, man. Peace.
And we're back. I can tell that you and TJ had a lot of fun on that one. And to be frank, I was incredibly energized by his story. It was really motivating to hear. Because he's out of the old, so to speak. I'm definitely still in stay low and build mode. But hearing his story is encouraging and it's motivating and lets me know that there is a light at the end of the tunnel, so to speak.
Yeah, I think his story comes down to the power of execution. He made up his mind to do something and he didn't use any excuse. He researched, he studied, he prepared, and then he went for it. And he didn't take years and years. It's really, frankly, it's been a super short journey for him, and I'm happy for him because I know he's just getting started.
For sure. We'll definitely need to make sure to list all of his resources and contact in the show notes because, like you said, there are so many of us out here who are interested and genuine to pursue the industry, but aren't necessarily sure where to start. We'll have a starting line for you.
Absolutely. Well, with that being said, we're going to be right back with our favorite things. Can't wait to share.
Awesome.
And we're back with our favorite things. So, folk who know me know that I am a blurred or a black nerd. 2 amazing games dropped this month. One was 2K19. Yes, like many younger black men, I loves my 2K. My NBA 2K. For those who are not in the know, NBA 2K is a basketball simulation game. This is even an ad. I really enjoy 2K, especially my career, where you take a player, you make one, you create one, you take them through the journey of being a rookie to a Hall of Famer. And Spider-Man dropped, both for PS4. So I'm really I'm enjoying myself.
2K, huh? Okay, so what's your style? Are you a shot creating slasher, a playmaker? What's up?
I'm actually a slashing, shot creating small forward. I'm 6'10" on there. And so if you want to catch a body, you want to be put on a poster, you find me at the park. My gamer tag is RevNunn, RevNunn. I'll see you out there.
RevNunn. Gonna put you on a poster. All right. This week, my favorite thing is a book called Weapons of Math Destruction. Yes, I did say math. It's a book that came out in, I believe, 2016. And it just examines the societal impact of algorithms and big data. We tend to think of, kind of following in the conversation we were having about tech spaces, but we tend to think of data and tech and science, the STEM space, as a relatively bias-free zone because it's presented to us that way. However, this book just talks about how those spaces can actually, and that work, the creation of algorithms, actually can be used to reinforce pre-existing inequality and systemic inequality. I love it. It's by a mathematician known as Kathy O'Neill. And she talks about, the reinforcement of discrimination using systems that we would otherwise consider or would otherwise hope are unbiased. So it's been a fun read. Okay, maybe not fun. Fun is definitely not the term I'm looking for, but it's been a very illuminating, insightful read. And I encourage everyone to take a look at it. Oh, that reminds me, before we go, we are actually going to be opening up our favorite things to you, our listeners. So if you have a favorite thing, please get at us, DM us through IG, or hit us up at our email address, which we'll list later on, just at the end of this show. You can also contact us through the website or Twitter, and we'll make sure to shout you out.
Dope. Well, that does it for us. Thank you for joining us on the Living Corporate Podcast. Make sure to follow us on Instagram at Living Corporate, Twitter at livingcorp_pod, and subscribe to our newsletter through living-corporate.com. You know what? Also, we actually bought a bunch of other domains. That's right, Soundman. Go ahead and drop some air horns right here. That's right. We bought livingcorporate.co, livingcorporate.tv, livingcorporate.org. We are everywhere except livingcorporate.com. So if you type in Living Corporate, you will find us, okay? If you have a question you'd like for us to answer on the show, make sure you email us at livingcorporatepodcast@gmail.com. And that does it for us on the show. This has been Zach.
And I'm Ade.
Peace.
Living Corporate is a podcast by Living Corporate LLC. Our logo was designed by David Dawkins. Our theme music was produced by Ken Brown. Additional music production by Antoine Franklin from Musical Elevation. Post-production is handled by Jeremy Jackson. Got a topic suggestion? Email us at livingcorporatepodcast@gmail.com. You can find us online on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and living-corporate.com. Thanks for listening. Stay tuned.